What's up, Summoners? King Blair here. Today, we're going to be talking about the current banner heroes, Bellona and Violet, who are both really cool units, and just talk about them, where you can use them, and then just help you guys out with understanding them as a whole. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord. Join the Discord because I do plan to stream this coming week, kind of testing out the waters, kind of setting up the channel. So join the Discord for the information, and then subscribe for more amazing content. The Melissa guide should drop this Sunday. Really in-depth guide for you guys to start using your Melissa. If you have her, if you're thinking of building her, maybe it'll convince you not to. I will be brutally honest and just give you guys my thoughts on her and just showing you guys a bunch of stuff. So make sure you subscribe for when that drops, and it should be Sunday. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So before I start going through their skills, I do want to say that there is a limited unit coming out next week who is going to be Fire Yufine, who is super fire, and she does amazing stuff, and she's going to basically kill Basar. I think she's going to be doing crazy things against Basar, so make sure you have enough to pity for them. Don't come crying if you didn't have enough because you're trying to summon for Bellona and Violet, because you should definitely try summoning for Fire Yufine since she's limited. But alright, now that we got that out of the way, let's actually talk about it. Let's say you have the resources. Should you be pulling Violet and Bellona? So I'll talk about where you can use them and just overall help you out. So right off the bat, I will tell you that they both have PvP potential, Violet more than Bellona, but they're also really good for PvE as a whole, for certain stages. So let me show you guys mine, because I do have both of them. Do not use this gear as an example. This is just to show you guys that I do have them and I have used them extensively. So when I'm talking about it, you know where I'm coming from. They have very low commitment gear. It is literally only to clear the PvE content that I use them in, and that's it. And it's not even like good builds, like it's kind of trash. So my Violet, using the level 85 lifesteal set, which rolled horrendously for him. Yes, he has nice attack, but no crit damage at all. Doesn't even have 100% crit. Pretty low on the health. I would like my Violet to be like 16k HP. So do not use this guy as an example, but when you see where I use him at, this actually works for him. And one thing that's really nice is they are very forgiving, as we'll go over them. And then my Seaside, kind of building like a sample build for her. I haven't fully awakened her. But look at that. She has level 75 gears, level 78 gear, blue gear. Has one Reforged ring, but I think it's just because I needed a little bit extra damage for what I was using her in. But again, nothing good. Nothing impressive, and I still use them. They are very forgiving units, and they are so good. So before I go over the skills, I've done this video. This is probably my fourth take. So before I actually talk about it, let me know if you like this format more, where I actually show you where you use them first before talking about them. So where I use my Violet is I do have a slow banshee team. So I do use my Violet there. Very rarely does he die, but he does a really good job against the Banshee. I really do like him in Banshee. I think he does a good job. I'm pretty happy with him there. So yeah, this is my slow Banshee team. I probably will be making a fast one this weekend, but right now I usually have the time, and I don't like just wasting my energy like right away and then I have nothing to do. So I don't mind that it takes long, but I do use him there. So if you're trying to get to Banshee 13, maybe you don't have a Baiken, he definitely can be used for Banshee 13. And then I also use him for Abyss. Not Abyss, my bad. For, where is it? Oh, for Raid. So for Raid, I use him in the normal difficulty. With those exact same stats, this team clears me all the bosses in Abyss, except the Queen. But this team is a very high morale team, and Violet is really good for that. So if you've been struggling on normal raid, trying to get only 3 entries, this team got me there, and it can clear most of the bosses pretty easily. I usually don't struggle with normal raid. But again, just some ideas of where I use them. As far as Bellona, I need to do an upgrade on her gear. That's something that I do want to do. But I had her at one point to help me clear A13 at least one time, so I could reforge one of the things. I also used her everywhere in Abyss, and we'll talk about why she's so good in Abyss. I used her like from stage 50 to stage 100. Not in all the stages, but in a majority, I would say like 80% of those stages, I had my Bellona in there, either because of the decreased defense or because of the damage. I did switch her gear around when I needed her, and then I kind of stripped her. I also did use her for Arena, but I'll talk about that. So now let's actually start looking at the units, the stats, the skills, give you guys a quick rundown of each of them, because I have talked about these units before, but let's just talk about it. Let's talk about their skills. Let's talk about what you think about them, or what I think about them. And first we'll start with Bellona because she's actually the one that I would recommend if you have the resources and you're struggling in PvE content to get Bellona. Why? So she has 115 base speed, which is nice, extremely high effectiveness starting off 30%, and then with her exclusive equipment, she's up to 48%. So that's really good. That's really freaking nice effectiveness right there. It's really, really solid. The attack is on the low side, but the HP is high. Defense is it's okay. So why is that good is because she's a very strong PvE unit. She has good survivability. She's able to survive in a fight. She's able to do her job, do damage, apply some debuffs, and these are all pretty solid. And then let's actually look at the skills. I think she also, wait, I forgot to do this, but I'm pretty sure she also gets attack, yeah. So she gets imprint concentration is attack, so she can also get a little bit more extra attack. But let's actually start looking at her. So skill 1. It literally, while it seems so basic, it is so strong. So first, damage based on opponent's max health. This is why she's an insane boss taker. There are a lot of bosses now that have hurt her because they don't take damage based on their health. Like they don't take that extra damage from her skill 1, which kind of sucks. One example of this is the Dark Corvus stage in Abyss, which doesn't let her function properly because she can't do as much damage if they have higher health. I'm not sure, but I know a lot of the new hunts, they don't have this yet, but the expeditions do. And there's a lot of content that basically this skill doesn't function properly, but when it does nutty damage. Hollow Trials, I think, is the other place where this skill doesn't work. But again, even then, it's a very high, very strong skill 1. Used in a lot of content. Abyss stages, y'all, I can't stress to y'all. Like, I think Abyss, like 70 to like 85 was some of the easiest stages for me. Because I would just come in, whack them with Bellona, and they would take like a third, like an eighth of their health with her with Daydream Joker. And it was like, that's not okay. But that's the skill 1. And again, when we get to 5 focus, every time you use it, gets 1 focus. And once you use this skill, it does skill 3. But we'll get to that one in a second. The skill 2 is an AoE thing that gives you immunity. Probably her weakest skill. It doesn't do anything crazy, but it does have some uses with the new exclusive equipment. That allows her to have this skill strip a buff. Why is that good? The fact that you can strip a buff on an AoE skill makes it so she has viability in Azimak Hunt 13 on auto, because you can have a damage dealer that has 2 really good AoE skills and a skill 1 that can AoE that can also strip buffs, which is amazing. That's great. It's one of the reasons she's such a good Azimak Hunt 13 unit, because she does such high damage, applies decreased defense, has survivability. You can even give her like Bloodstone to even help you with support because she does so much damage. So she definitely has such a good presence in Azimak Hunt 13. And Banshee, she also helps a lot. But you do need to give her a little bit more survivability in Banshee because the Banshee boss does do a lot of work on her. The other place where this skill works for her is in Raid. Because as you see here, I have 4 stacks. And typically, I want to go into a boss with 4 stacks or more. So I can come in with the S1 and use the S3 to decrease defense AoE. And then just kill the boss, right? So what I typically will do before I get to the boss, I will use the skill 2 on her so that she doesn't proc the skill 3. It's kind of a basic thing, but you know, it's always nice to know that you can do this to extend it for 1 more turn. So if you're like a hit away from killing the boss, or like the mini boss, right before the big boss, and you want to have that decreased defense to make the run faster, you can turn off auto or do whatever. Use this skill so she keeps the stacks, and then use the AoE decreased defense at the end. I use this a lot in Abyss because sometimes I didn't tune the teams properly, and it let me use the decreased defense when I wanted it, not when she wanted it. So it let me play around a little bit more with it. But now onto skill 3. Besides Tywin, I don't know any other AoE decreased defenser that has 100%. I want to see if anyone can find one for me or correct me on that. But I'm pretty sure it's only Tywin and Bellona that have the capability of AoE decreased defensing 100%. So you might be like, oh, that's not 100%. That's only when you use it as skill 1. Her exclusive artifact, if you choose, can give her this be 100%, which is really good for Abyss overall because it's more AoE decreased defenses and it's more consistent for when you're trying to do more damage to the boss. So Again, pretty basic, just AoE, decrease defense. Really, really solid, again, in Abyss and Azimak Hunt, because it sets up for the boss to die faster. You decrease defense on the Azimak Hunt boss. Now you're doing way more damage to it. So the run is a lot faster. It's AoE, so it can kill the eggs. Just really, really solid. And then the skill 1, with this skill, it can trigger the S3, so it lets you AoE again, and lets you decrease defense again. So you can consistently have probably decreased defense every like 2 to 3 turns. So there's only like 1 to 2 turns where the boss won't have a decreased defense, unless of course they resist it. So again, that's really, really solid. And this skill also gives you 3 focus. So the only problem with this skill and the AoE decreased defense is, unlike Tywin, Bellona can't set up your next unit. So she does get edged out in arena by Tywin in PvP, which is why you don't see Bellona that often in PvP. She does have another exclusive artifact that pushes back, but honestly, she's not the best for PvP. I did use her for a very long time until I got my Tywin. Once I got my Tywin, that was it. I was done. No more Bellona. But again, it's not bad. I do like her overall a lot. But yeah, that's Bellona. As far as Bellona, really good PvE, Azimak Hunt, Abyss, Raid, Hunt. It's just, she's so solid. She's a solid PvE unit, and I wouldn't say she's critical, but if you have her, it definitely becomes a lot easier. Not on the level of Tama, but it's a very reliable DPS with a lot of support. So definitely very, very solid unit there. All right, now on to Violet. Violet, man, I have a love-hate. I know some people are going to say he's amazing. Some people are going to say he's bad. Just from experience, I rarely see Violet anymore. I think there's only one high-level RTA player that I ever fought that had a good Violet, and his Violet was like nuts. But overall, he's okay. He's not broken. He's not super weak. He's just okay. But when he is good, he is good. So as far as stats, he has Celine stats. So very, very good speed, really good HP, trash defense though, which does hurt him. And then attack on the higher side. It is on the higher side of attack stats, so that's pretty good. So that's why he can actually do a lot of damage. And of course, he gets a little bit of help with the crit. So Violet. Oh man. And then his awakening is also attack percentage. I forgot to mention that. Violet does one thing and one thing really, really well. He beats water unit teams like crazy. He punishes water teams for bringing too much water against him. Why? So skill 1, decrease attack. Nothing crazy. You know, you're like, okay, it's not that great. Soulburn kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. The Soulburn I wish was on the S3. But, you know, they decided to put it on the S1. That's whatever. It decreases attack and gives him 1 focus. So you just attack and 1 focus. But this skill actually does quite a bit of damage. It does like 6 to 8k on a good Violet. And then on a busted Violet, it'll do like 10k. Which I have seen a Violet do like 10k on my Seaside before. Or my Dizzy, my bad, not my Seaside. And I was like, that's kind of scary. It was that one guy that I told you guys about. He even has a Violet in his name. So this skill does a lot of damage. Kind of annoying with the decreased attack. But the thing that makes him really, really good is y'all saw that my Violet was on lifesteal set to survive. Why wasn't he on counterattack set? It's because he has a built-in counterattack mechanic that lets him counterattack for free while also giving him survivability. So the 15% heal is nice because, you know, you can't build him stupid fast. You know, like 200 speed is probably the fastest you'll be seeing a Violet. But on average, they'll be around 180, like 150 to 180 speed. They don't need to take turns. So when they get this, they get that little extra heal. You know, they get to survive a little bit longer after your enemy does their burst. You get an extra turn, and then you're able to attack again. The other thing that this is really nice is it removes your debuffs, essentially, which is really nice. Again, it's really nice to be able to remove your debuffs. But what it sets up is it increases your evasion by 35%. Why is that important? So that decrease, or that evasion increase, gives you 35%. If you have a Moonlight Dreamblade that is now up to 55%, and if you're going against a water unit, that is 105% evasion chance. Why do I care about the 105? Because if they have Oath Key, that means they only have a 15% chance to actually touch you. That means that a water unit cannot touch your Violet properly once you set this up. And this skill's on a 4-turn cooldown. They're probably going to die to the S1 because this sets up the counterattack. Every time you evade, boom, attack. And you do damage with the S1. It's so well made. It's such a good mechanic, and I used to have so much fun with this because you just punish water teams so hard, especially like Seaside. Oh man, a good Violet can murk a Seaside because Seaside can touch you. The only problem is Seaside can still have Rengar specialty drink and do damage, which is where you start seeing some of Violet's flaws and why he's not as often used to counter Seaside and more to counter water teams. The other thing is that without Lifesteal set, he's not going to be surviving longer, but that also means you lose a lot of damage potential. So you have to trade off between survivability and damage. And then let's talk about the S3. This skill only does damage, but unlike his ML counterpart, it does not pierce defense. So if there's a Rel of Light with a defense buff, they're not going to be killing it. They're not, because they can't pierce defense like normal. But it does increase it based on focus. This skill with max focus will do a lot. It has killed my Apocalypse Robbie at 20k HP. I had it killed by a Violet. One-shotted by a Violet, actually, but I didn't have a decreased defense. I didn't have any Knight protecting my Robbie. But again, it's still very, very high damage skill. And the animation is beautiful. And it also resets if you have 5 stacks. You get a stack every time you use S1. It's kind of where the ML Violet got his gimmick of like evade and then attack. But just overall, I think Violet definitely could use the help of an exclusive equipment, either to increase this by 10% or 15%. They already kind of buffed it. It used to be a lot lower. They buffed it recently because he was starting to fall off. They buffed it, made it a little bit higher. But now it's like ML Violet has 50%. Mersa has 50%. And it's kind of like, there's a lot of units out there that already have evade higher. Celine gets a 50%. Yes, this is built in, but you have to remember, he can't start with this. So it's still kind of balanced in a way that he can't start with this. I definitely think like maybe 45% would be nice. Or maybe 40%, just a little bit some. Because right now, Violet has definitely fallen off the map. He's not as strong as he used to be, but it's still fun. There's still times when the enemy team picks like Seaside, Dizzy, Crow, Tieni, and I'm like, oh, let me slap on my Violet and then watch themselves kill themselves on the Violet. So again, he does have his uses. Is he OP? No. Is he bad? No. He's just good. He's a good unit. Would I pull like crazy for him? No. I would not pull for crazy like him. He does have Guild Wars potential, and it's nice to bring it to water teams. But again, it's a little bit more on the niche side, which is why I haven't reforged him to be stronger. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. So between the two, Bellona is very strong PvE. She's up there. I would almost say she's like for sure top 10 best PvE units, because she definitely got me through a lot of Abyss. Violet, it's a pretty good addition to your team if you want. There's just better options for Earth Heroes. Charles is a lot better. Alencia is a lot better. But he definitely can do his job against heavy water teams, and it's always a good option to have. So overall, yeah, both pretty good units. But again, next week there's limited. If anything, if you have the resources, pull for the Bellona. You will not regret it. Unless you finish all PvE, pull for her. If you already finished all PvE, there's no reason for you to pull for Bellona if you already have all content cleared. But if you haven't, she definitely can help you a lot. And then Violet, again, kind of just like a nice unit, nice addition to have. A good fodder for your ML Violet if you have him, but honestly keep a copy because I do see him coming back in the future, especially if more water units are being added. But right now it looks like more and more fire units are being added, so I don't see him coming back as strong in the future. But that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.